They lied to you. Not once, not twice, but for centuries. Society, religion, even history itself. They built the world around your blindness, shaping your desires, your dreams, your idea of love. They told you what to worship, what to chase, who to trust. But everything they gave you was a carefully painted illusion. They said women are angels, pure, gentle, sacred. They said love is holy, selfless, eternal. But they never told you the truth. The truth is not beautiful. The truth is not comforting. The truth burns. And once you see it, once it enters your soul, it never leaves. You were never in love with her. You were in love with a reflection of yourself. You adored the idea, not the person. The perfect woman, created by poets to soothe lonely hearts, by priests to keep men obedient, by society to keep them dreaming. But dreams are prisons when you mistake them for truth. Nietzsche saw the lie before anyone dared to name it. He saw through the veil. He saw that men do not love women as they are. They love the illusion of what they wish her to be. They call it love, but it is only worship of fantasy. A woman is not the canvas you think she is. She is not the blank page on which you write your devotion. She is a force, ancient, deliberate, and awake. She has her own will, her own rhythm, her own reason. But the greatest illusion is believing she loves as you do. For a man, love is surrender. It is faith, sacrifice, protection. For a woman, love is calculation, decision, balance. She gives when it serves. She leaves when it no longer does. That is not cruelty. That is nature. You were told that women are soft, kind, forgiving. But what if softness is a weapon? What if kindness is a mask? She does not conquer through strength. She conquers through influence. A word, a glance, a silence, sharper than any blade. She does not fight wars. She wins them before they begin. Men call it manipulation. They call it deceit. But what is manipulation if not survival? For centuries, she lived in a world that denied her power. So she learned to rule without appearing to. She learned to guide without command. She learned to control without force. Men believe they lead. They believe they rule. But history whispers otherwise. Every empire, every crown, every king, shaped by hands that never held a sword. The greatest power is not the one that demands. It is the one that invites. You think she belongs to you. You think her love is pure. But Nietzsche laughed at that illusion. He saw that her love is never blind. It is chosen. It is earned. It is deliberate. When devotion loses its use, it fades. When love no longer benefits her, it ends. A man loves forever. A woman loves until. That is the difference. That is the wound. So ask yourself, were you ever truly loved? Or were you just a chapter in a story she was never afraid to close? Power. The word men worship and yet never truly understand. They think it belongs to them. They think it is theirs by birth, by strength, by will. But Nietzsche saw what others could not. He saw that real power is quiet, invisible, soft to the touch, yet sharp enough to draw blood. Men build their empires from stone and steel. They fight with swords, with words, with pride. They rise, they fall, they bleed. But women, they do not take power. They become it. Their empire needs no throne, no crown, no battlefield. It exists in silence, in persuasion, in the unseen gravity that pulls without being noticed. Men imagine themselves as kings, masters of their destiny. But behind every crown, behind every victory, there is a whisper, a glance, a presence that bends their will without command. Power does not always shout. Sometimes it smiles. Sometimes it waits. Sometimes it simply watches as you build your own chains. She does not need to fight you. She only needs to guide you toward the fight you think you chose. She knows when to speak and when to remain silent. She knows when to appear fragile and when to let you believe you saved her. That is not weakness. That is precision. For centuries, men mocked what they could not comprehend. They called women deceitful, manipulative, emotional. But what is deceit if not intelligence sharpened by survival? What is emotion if not the oldest form of strategy? For ages, they had no army, no laws, no voice. So they learned to shape the hearts of those who did. A woman's strength is not in resistance, it is in redirection. Why fight when you can make them fight for you? Why chase when you can become the destination? Why command when a whisper can move mountains? Look back through history. The kings who conquered nations, the generals who crushed enemies, the thinkers who reshaped the world. Behind them, unseen yet ever present, were women who ruled without title. They shaped destiny not by force, but by influence. Even now, the battlefield has changed. Swords became screens. Empires turned into networks, and the war for attention replaced the war for land. But the pattern remains. Men still build, and women still guide. They do not hide in shadows anymore. They have stepped into the light. And yet, men refuse to see. They still look for power that roars, for dominance that demands. They do not understand that the greatest control is invisible. The greatest victory is the one that looks like surrender. That is the paradox Nietzsche saw. Power that does not need to prove itself. Power that does not ask, does not fight, does not break. The kind of power that lets you think you are in control while you are already obeying. So tell me, who truly rules? The one who commands with words, or the one who makes commands unnecessary? Love, the word that built poems and broke empires, the illusion that binds men stronger than any chain. They say it is pure, holy, sacred, but Nietzsche knew better. He saw what hides beneath. Love is not peace. Love is not salvation. Love is war. A man loves like a soldier. He surrenders. He devotes. He fights for the idea that love will complete him. He gives everything, his time, his strength, his purpose. He believes that in love, he will find truth. But truth does not live there. Love is not devotion. Love is negotiation. For a woman, love is never blind. It is a choice, deliberate, calculated. She loves when it serves her nature. She gives when it brings growth. She walks away when it no longer does. That is not betrayal. That is instinct. Men love with their hearts. Women love with their survival. A man offers everything and calls it faith. A woman measures everything and calls it wisdom. She does not fall. She decides. She studies. She waits. Men fall fast, reckless, desperate. They want love to heal them. They think love will save them. But to her, love is not medicine. It is movement. It is opportunity. It is the most ancient game played in silence and smiles. When a man loves, he imagines eternity. When a woman loves, she knows the clock is already ticking. Her heart beats with purpose, not promise. She was never taught to fight with weapons. She was taught to fight with emotion. Because emotion, when mastered, bends the world. Men think effort is enough. That loyalty will protect them. That love itself is armor. But love is not armor. It is a battlefield. And every battlefield has rules that only one side understands. She was never trained to win through strength. She wins through surrender. She knows that the most dangerous weapon is the one that smiles before it strikes. He thinks her tears are weakness. He does not see the storm behind them. He thinks her silence means peace. He does not hear the 1,000 thoughts that shape his fate. Nietzsche saw it long before we did. He knew that the war of love is the most ancient of all, that every man enters it believing he will conquer, and every man leaves it realizing he was never the one in command. Men give their hearts like offerings. They kneel before the illusion. But women, they understand the ritual. They know that love is not about giving. It is about balance. Not about devotion, but power. So the question is not whether she loves you. The question is what that love means. Because when love becomes survival, it is no longer a feeling. It is strategy. And in that game, the one who feels the most loses first. Morality, the invisible crown humanity wears with pride. The word men whisper when they want to feel pure. The chain they polish and call virtue. Nietzsche saw through it. He knew morality was never about truth. It was about control. Men believe morality is sacred, divine, eternal. They think it protects them from chaos. But it does not protect. It tames. It limits. It whispers rules that benefit those who wrote them. And through history, women learned to master those whispers. When denied power, she learned patience. When denied voice, she learned persuasion. When denied freedom, she learned control. Not with force, but with guilt. Not with laws, but with conscience. Men fought with swords and blood. Women fought with ideals and shame. They learned to turn virtue into a weapon sharper than steel. They learned that to rule the heart, you must first define what goodness means. So who decides what is selfish and what is selfless? Who decides what is pure and what is sinful? Who turns obedience into love and desire into shame? Men call morality truth, but Nietzsche called it strategy, and no one has ever mastered that strategy better than women. When she could not rule the body, she ruled the mind. When she could not command action, she commanded emotion. When she could not hold power, she defined what power should look like. A man conquers through strength. A woman conquers through meaning. She makes him believe that sacrifice is noble, that suffering is holy, that devotion is proof of worth. She teaches him that to give everything is to love. And he believes her. He gives until he breaks. He protects until he is empty. He sacrifices until there is nothing left to offer. And when he finally asks for something in return, she calls it selfishness. That is the invisible design of morality. It rewards obedience and punishes awakening. Men were told that to love truly, they must expect nothing. That to be good, they must endure quietly. That to be worthy, they must give without end. But Nietzsche asked the forbidden question: who profits from that virtue? Who gains from that sacrifice? Morality is not balance. It is hierarchy disguised as holiness. It is power wearing the mask of purity. Women did not create this system, but they learned to live within it until they owned it. They learned to bend the rules without breaking them, to use ideals as chains and compassion as currency. And so, the most powerful prison is the one that feels righteous, the kind that convinces you that your obedience is proof of love. Nietzsche understood. He knew morality was not made to free you. It was made to shape you, to mold your instincts, to make you believe your cage is sacred. You think you act from goodness, but every virtue you obey, every rule you follow, every guilt you carry was taught to you by someone who benefits from it. And that is why morality is not light. It is shadow pretending to shine. For centuries, she lived in the shadows, defined by others, controlled by laws she did not write, bound by promises she never made. She waited. She watched. She learned. Patience was her greatest weapon. While men built empires, she built understanding. While they fought for control of the world, she learned to control perception. And when the world began to shift, she was already ready. The balance has changed. The old rules have cracked. The woman who once depended now decides. The woman who once obeyed now chooses. The woman who once feared now moves without asking. Men once ruled through strength, through fire, through war, through conquest. But every kingdom built on power eventually collapses into silence. And from that silence, she rose. The independent woman does not wait to be saved. She does not live for approval. She does not measure her worth by how much she is loved. She walks alone, not because she rejects connection, but because she no longer needs it to exist. The world that men created became her weapon. Education, economy, law, all forged by male hands, all now mastered by hers. The systems that were meant to bind her became her tools. The cage became a ladder. The chains became ornaments. Men once demanded loyalty. Now they beg for attention. They once offered protection. Now they ask for relevance. They once claimed ownership. Now they plead to be seen. She no longer hides behind softness. She wears power like skin. She no longer whispers in the dark. She speaks in daylight, and the world listens. And yet, men still dream of the past. They ask where the good women have gone. But the truth is simple. The good women were never lost. They evolved. They no longer wish to be good in the way men once demanded. They no longer build their lives around the dreams of others. They do not wish to heal what refuses to change. Men built the modern world, but in doing so, they built the very tools of their own irrelevance. And now, the independent woman walks freely within it, without fear, without guilt, without need. Nietzsche knew this was coming. He understood that power does not disappear. It only shifts. Those who once were ruled learn to rule. Those who once were silenced learn to speak. Those who once were broken learn to rise. The illusion of control has ended. The illusion of devotion has burned away. The world you knew is gone. And she, who once waited in the background, now writes the story herself. So the question is not what happened to her. The question is, what will happen to you? The illusion is breaking. The dream you were raised to believe in is dissolving like mist. The stories you held close, the promises you trusted, the ideals you built your life upon, all of them are fading. You were told love is pure. You were told devotion is noble. You were told morality is sacred. But what if none of it was true? What if every lesson, every belief, every virtue was designed not to free you, but to keep you asleep? For centuries, men have lived in that sleep, chasing an image that never existed, worshiping a perfection that was never real. They built their worth around how much they could give, how much they could protect, how much they could endure. But Nietzsche tore the veil. He saw that love was not salvation, that morality was not truth, that devotion was not virtue. He saw that all of it was illusion, a cage disguised as light. And now you see it too. The illusion is gone. The world is not what you were told. Women are not what you believed. Love is not what you thought it was. So what now? What remains when the dream burns away? You can run. You can reject the truth and return to sleep. You can chase the same ghosts and call it hope. You can build new illusions and call them meaning. But deep down, you will know. It is all the same pattern, the same design, the same cage. Or you can rise. You can step into the cold, into the silence, into the reality that waits beyond comfort. You can look at the world as it is and not as you wish it to be, no longer seeking validation, no longer begging for love, no longer defining your worth by how much you are needed. Become more, become sovereign, become untouchable. This is not about hating women. It is not about revenge. It is about awakening, seeing the system for what it is and refusing to kneel before it. The world has changed. The masks have fallen. Power no longer belongs to those who shout the loudest. It belongs to those who see clearly, to those who act without fear. Freedom is not given. It is taken. Truth is not comforting. It is sharp. But in its sharpness, you find yourself. Nietzsche never sought destruction. He sought awakening. He broke illusions not to leave men empty, but to make them aware, to make them whole. The ones who cling to the dream will fade with it, but the ones who open their eyes will rise above it. So stand still for a moment. Feel the silence. The noise of illusion is gone. All that remains is choice. You can stay asleep, or you can wake up. No gods, no masters, no illusions, only freedom. And if these words found you in the right moment, if they stirred something you forgot you had, then remember to share this truth. Leave your thoughts below. Let the world see there are still those who choose to awaken, because the beginning of freedom is not in belief, it is in understanding, and understanding starts now.